In this video, I'm going to explain degrees, minutes, and seconds. And to do that, first of all, I want you to realize that when we talk about degrees here, we can break down a degree into a minute. And the minute is representing the decimal part of your degree. And the seconds is also representing a smaller part of the degree, which is representing the part of a minute. So the notation for this is going to be you're going to have your degrees with your degree symbol, and for the fractional part of that, the minute is represented by 1 mark, and then when we talk about seconds, we have 2 marks to stand for seconds. And really what this means is if we were to take, if you think about a circle we looked at before, and if we said, where is 1 degree? We could draw and say, well, this right here, this little point here is representing 1 degree. Now, what I want to do is I want to take just this part here and imagine if we zoom in on this point so that here we would have this as that angle. So this right here is the zoomed in part of this, where this is representing 1 degree. Okay, so this angle right here is exactly 1 degree. Okay, so that's this small little region here. And what we're going to do with the minutes is if we were to take this degree, we could divide this into equal parts. And we're going to divide this degree. Now again, that's talking about this little region right in here we're dividing up to. So these are very, very small because they're fitting like right in here. And what we're saying is it's going to take 60 of these little points, which would be the minutes. It's taking 60 of these. So right here, this very first one is represented as 1 minute. And if we go all the way up here, this would be 60 minutes, which is equal to 1 degree. So here we would say 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. So technically you would never say really 60 minutes because if you said 60 minutes, that would be equal to 1 degree. So if you wanted to represent something smaller than a degree, if it was almost a degree but not quite, then maybe you would say that is 59 minutes. So for example, then if we were looking right here in the middle, this would probably then be close enough to representing 30 minutes. Well, that's 30 minutes. If you think of it this way, that's 30 minutes out of a total of 60 minutes, which means that is equal to 1/2, or simply 0.5 degrees. So what we're saying then is a half of a degree is equal to 30 minutes. So what we're doing is we're dividing each degree into an additional 60 equal parts, which we're going to call 60 minutes. Okay, then we're going to go even smaller than that. Imagine that if I was to look here at this 1 minute, we're now going to take and divide this. If I was to zoom in right here on this right in here, we would have something like this here. So if I zoom in, we now are looking at this to represent, this is our 1 minute, and then everything here is divided up into 60 seconds. So here we're going to say 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So right here, this first mark then would be representing 1 second, and we go all the way up here to the last one, which would represent 60 seconds. Okay, so essentially we've taken our degree, we've broken our degree down into 60 equal parts, then we're going to take that degree and break that down into another 60 equal parts. So really what that means then is we could state that we have 1 degree is going to be equal to 3,600 seconds. Because if you were to take for every degree up here, so up here for every degree, each one of these degrees, I'm sorry, minutes rather, here's our 1 degree, each one of these minutes are being divided into another 60 equal parts. So we want to take those 60 times 60 is going to give you the 3,600. So that's what we mean when we're talking about your degree. Once again, the degree here is 1 degree, and we're going to divide that 1 degree into 30 minutes, and then each minute is divided into, each one's divided into 60 minutes, and then each minute is divided into 60 seconds. So let me go down here and look at an example of what we're talking about in order to convert these degrees to degrees, minutes, seconds. For an example, if we had the number 45.5055 degrees. So here's our decimal for degrees, and we can kind of estimate, we know where this is going to fall, hopefully. We know that right here in the very middle of 0 degrees and 90 degrees, we know right in the middle this would be 45 degrees. So if this was 45 degrees here, then we know that this 45.5005 is going to be just a little bit bigger than that. Okay? Now, this is all in terms of decimals. And we want to change this into degrees, minutes, and seconds. So to do that, we know the degrees is going to be the 45 because the 45 here is your whole number. So we're going to bring down the 45. So that's our degrees. The decimal part is what we need to break down into our minutes and our seconds. So that's the fractional part of the degree. So in order to do that, then we're going to take, first I'm going to show you how to do this by hand. We would take 0.5055 and we're going to take this fraction and multiply it by 60. Okay, and when we multiply by 60, that's going to give us 0.5055, multiply that by 60, and we get 30.33. So we're going to take the 30.33. From here, we're going to look at the whole number. The 30 is going to be our minutes. And now we want to break the rest of this remaining part, which is the 0.33, and break that into seconds. So we're going to take 0.33 and multiply that by another 60 to change this into seconds. So if we take 0.33 and we multiply by another 60, we get 19.8. So once again, we're going to look at the whole number, and it's going to be the whole number that is going to represent our seconds. So that would be 19 seconds. So, and actually since this is 19.8, I'm going to maybe round this up to 20 seconds. In other words, we're going to ignore the decimal because really at this point we've gotten extremely small because remember, this 20 seconds, we're looking at, part of the degree, which is a minute, and then part of that minute, which is a second. So therefore we have the 45 degrees, 30 minutes, and 20 seconds. Okay, so that's how we can change any degree in terms of decimal into degrees, minutes, and seconds. And if we want to go the other direction, I'm actually going to take the same number so we can kind of emphasize what's happening here. If I take the same answer, 45 degrees, 30 minutes, and 20 seconds. Now I want to take this number and change it simply into degrees. So here we have degrees, minutes, and seconds, and we want to change it strictly in degrees. So basically we want to put it back in decimal form. So we know the degree is going to be the whole number, so that's our 45. So we have 45 point, and the 30 minutes and 20 seconds is going to represent the decimal part of our answer. So this is going to be pretty easy. We're going to take the 30 minutes and we're going to divide by 60. And if we take 30 divided by 60, that's going to be equal to 0.5. And then we're going to take the 20 seconds. Now be careful, this is the part that may be a little confusing. We're not going to divide by 60 because remember, 60 times 60 is 3,600. So we're actually going to divide by 3,600. So if we take 20 divided by 3,600, we get 0.00 and then 5 repeating. So I'm going to bring that down as approximately 0.0055. So this is given the decimal part for the seconds. And now we want to take these two decimals and simply add them together. So if we add those together, we're going to get 0.5055. So there's our answer back in decimal form for degrees. So we went from first, we changed from degrees into degrees minute second, and then here we can look at how we can change degrees minute seconds back into degrees. All right, so let's go to the calculator once more, and let's look at how we can actually change. If we want to go from, let's say, our decimal to degrees minutes seconds, so that means we're going to start off with 45.5055 degrees. So going to the calculator here for the 45.5055, we would type in 45.5055, and then you're going to hit your second function key, and then here at the kind of top of your screen here it says apps, it says angle. We want to hit the apps key to go into angle, and if you notice, you scroll down to number 4, you see DMS, and this little triangle here in front means we're going to change it to degrees, minutes, and seconds. So we can either scroll down to number 4 or simply type in the number 4, and we're going to change this decimal to degrees, minutes, seconds, and if we hit enter, there's the answer. 45 degrees, 30 minutes, and it says 19.8 seconds, and that's so small, this decimal is kind of crazy to put in here, so that's why I rounded it to 20 seconds. So that's how we can use the calculator to change this number to degrees, minutes, and seconds. And if we want to go the other direction, let's say that we have degrees, minutes, seconds, then we could type this in, and this is a little bit more difficult, but just make sure you memorize where the buttons are located. We would type in 45, okay, then we would go second function in apps, and number 1 is the little degree symbol, so we get 45 degrees. Then we would type in 30, second function apps. Number 2 over here has the little mark for minutes. Now if you notice here, if I go further, there's no seconds here. Now the seconds is located a little bit different. So here's your degree and here's your minute. So number 2, we get 30 minutes. And I guess since they have 19.8, we'll go ahead and type in 19.8. Now the seconds. The seconds is located down here with the plus sign. And notice here on my calculator, it's in green. So I need to hit this alpha button in the top left, and then I can hit the addition key, and that's going to give me the seconds. So here we type in the degrees, minutes, and seconds, and to get the decimal, we simply hit enter, and we get the 45.5055. And that is the same answer that we had come up with before. So the reason I wanted to go through this by hand is I want you to understand the idea of degrees, minutes, and seconds, but you always have the use of your calculator to make those conversions. There may be some problems that you'll run into where they have the angle listed in this degrees, minutes, and seconds. So you can either work with it that way or simply change it to a decimal. I'm not going to do a whole lot of work with this, but I do want you to have an understanding of what the minutes and seconds are representing.